Welcome back to Transdemic. Wow, I always forget what podcast I'm doing, whether it's the Mood House or Transdemic. One may never know until I hear the beat and this beautiful guitar that we jacked. Sean replayed it from Post Malone. But thank you all for coming back to Transdemic. It's been another wonderful week in the world of being trans in real life. But mostly around the country. Me and Bentley get to talking about that in a little bit here. But I did read up a little bit more just to clarify what we get into a little bit later in this podcast. And the cool thing is that this has been a pretty eventful week. Two federal judges decide in favor of transgender Americans. It's two different cases and two separate rulings. Crazy. I don't know why, but I was reading that... And I think it's important. One of them was appointed by President Bill Clinton, one of these federal judges, and the other appointed by Donald Trump. Both slammed the brakes on efforts to discriminate against trans people. One was enacted by the state of Idaho, and the other proposed by the Trump administration. Neither decision is the last word. Both are significant wins, but not in any way a final victory for those fighting for transgender inclusion. Now, the rules were... It's so stupid. Rules, constitutional rights. It's like just accept people for people and let's move on. But first win came in Brooklyn, where U.S. District Judge Frederick Block blocked, that's fitting, the Trump administration from removing non-discrimination health care protections for trans people. Blocked. Awesome. And the other, a federal judge, temporarily blocks Idaho law banning transgender athletes from female sports. Another huge win. And it's common sense. I can't even believe they were able to pass it initially. I mean, I can believe it, but I'm glad that we're correcting it, and I'm glad that there seems to be this budding narrative of people understanding and standing up for trans rights and respecting that and respecting these people for who they are. Now, we talk more about this with Bentley in a minute, and it's awesome because we are, as I'm recording this, on the eve of one of Bentley's recent gender-affirming surgeries. I'm going to let him talk all about that right now. You're going to get plenty of it. But I just wanted to say I think it's amazing. I've been on this journey with Bentley for a long time, way before, as he said, any of you knew what was going on. And it's amazing to be able to be there for somebody that you care about and watch this process happen and watch it alleviate so much stress and shift someone's whole being and like who they are into being like the best version of that. So I think it's really amazing. We wish good luck and speedy recovery to Bentley, and Bentley's going to break down this particular surgery right now here for us. I'm going to save some of the audio from us and Bentley talking so we can recover. If you can't make it next week, we will definitely still have a Transdemic podcast for you. So that said, let's stop the chitter chatter, the small talk, and let's hear finally from Bentley and about this amazing surgery that's coming up and all the shit that is just fascinating. All the medical shit that's fascinating. You can learn a lot right here if you're looking to getting the surgery done, if you're just wanting to know what this is all about on a real life basis from a real fucking trans person. Here it is with Bentley. I don't know. Let's say right about I don't know. What do you think?
It'll be cool too because you'll be able to document and go back to this. But kind of just it'd be awesome, I think, for people to kind of hear where you're at and what you're about to do and like the actual process of what you're about to do on Wednesday and all that stuff.
Oof. All right. Well, let's start. So first off, even to get I'm getting double incision mastectomy with nipple grafts. So some people do the double incision, but they don't do nipple grafts or whatever. But I personally need them, and I want to be able to pierce them again. And I think that's like it's really important to me to have nipples like placed in the right spot, like more masculine. Nice. I think it ended up costing more because of that than without nipples, but like I just know I wouldn't be happy if I didn't have nipples personally. And But
it's such a funny word. It's so hard to take that serious. Nipples.
nipple. Yeah, I know. And I've been wondering why men even have nipples, because like, aren't they to breastfeed? And then I like went on this whole thing about why men have nipples and what they do, and it just I don't know.
Did you read about that? Like in evolution, isn't the thing like, every embryo like starts off female?
Yeah, something like that. Because even I was watching on YouTube, and some doctors are like, we don't really know, but yeah, that makes sense.
That's what that's what I read. I take solace in that. Like, hell yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Then, but yeah. So basically, I started out. So I don't have insurance, so I had to pay out of pocket. So for that process, you have to see a therapist for at least a year. In Arizona, you have to see a therapist for at least a year, and then I had to get a letter from a gender specialist that says I am not gonna like regret this, and it's like part of my gender dysphoria and everything. Mm-hmm. I know there's actually a couple surgeons in California that you don't need a letter for now, which I don't know. I feel okay that I needed the letter. I think it's nice to have like professionals validate you as you go. Personally,
yeah, maybe just like a shorter time.
Yeah, it sucks that it was a year, but it was a year with the therapist, but luckily not with the gender specialist, because that's really expensive. It was $130 for an hour with the gender specialist. So she wrote this letter for me, so I had to bring that to my appointment for the surgeon, and the first appointment is $100 just for like the consultation, but you need the letter, otherwise you can't like go any farther. So right there, that was a year of therapy, and the $130 letter and the $100 consultation. And luckily, most surgeons now aren't doing the you need to be on hormones, because that used to be a big thing. They used to make you be on hormones for like 6 months to a year, but luckily that's kind of like fading out now because of health risks and people not needing hormones and not wanting them and stuff like that. Yeah. So luckily that wasn't a thing. But yeah, so I had my consultation. They go over like the different types of surgeries. There's 4 or 5 different types depending on who you're talking to. In my opinion, there's really only 2 that work. Some of them are a little wonky as far as like the results go. But
is that like cosmetically or just like overall?
Yeah, cosmetically, because like some people, if you have like small enough, I don't want to trigger anyone, a breast area, if you have a small enough area, you can do like just liposuction. And then they go in there, so they liposuction the fat out, and then they cut a little hole on your nipple on the areola part, and then they take out like the breast tissue, and then you don't have any scarring. So it would look crazy. Like, yes, exactly. But you need a certain like small chest. There's like a lot of rules for that. Mm-hmm. So obviously I wasn't able to get that, but I'm getting the double incision. So they basically cut like a giant line like through your breast and take out everything, and then they cut off a bunch of that skin and then kind of sew the skin back together so it's tight, and then they take your nipple and your areola and they make it all smaller, and then they graft it on, so that's all like stitched up. And then for that you can't even see it for a week. There's like a giant like ball like around it, like stitched to it, so it's like putting pressure on it so it doesn't fall off, because like technically it could just like fall off because it's like completely being replaced.
This is nuts. This is fascinating.
Yeah, so there's that. So that's the one I qualify for, but that's the one I wanted anyways, just because it's like the tightest. It's the most cis-passing way to go. And personally, the scars don't bother me. I think that's going to be kind of cool. Mm. Yeah, so then to even schedule the appointment, you have to pay half, because I don't have insurance. So half of that was $10,800 total. So I had to pay half of that to schedule the appointment. And then thanks to all my friends donating and buying merch and stuff, I was able to put that down. And then I had to pay for the rest 4 weeks ago. So it was pretty much like right, because I scheduled it so fast, I pretty much almost had to pay it all right away. So I put it on my credit card. So now I'm paying off my credit card. But that includes...
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, no, it's super awesome. And like, if anyone's listening that donated, like, thank you so much. I literally could not have done it right now without you. So... yeah, what am I saying now? Yeah, but the $10,800, that includes like the surgery, paying all the staff, your anesthesiologist fee, like the staying in the hospital for however many hour fee, like everything, and then I just have to pay whatever the shit costs for my prescriptions after, but that includes like my checkup appointments and stuff like that. So
that is wild. Do you have people who's taking care of you throughout all this?
Kaylin's gonna be staying with me for a week.
Okay, cool. Because I know you. That's like super important. I felt it's weird because I feel I'm so invested in what you're going through. I wish I could be there to help.
I know,
and it just sucks. What was that?
I said I would eat all your food if you were here.
Oh yeah, totally. No, probably not so much after the day after surgery. You might not be ready to eat. But
yeah. We'll
so
see.
Have they now that we're at that point, have they prepped you on like what that day is going to look like? What you have to get ready for the day before? I saw you got a corona test and started bleeding.
Yeah,
is that part of it?
Yeah, that was my first COVID test, and that was terrible. I had to drive. I live pretty far too. I live 45 minutes from the place, which isn't terrible in the grand scheme of things. Because some people have to fly and stuff, but
yeah.
So I had to drive 45 minutes one way to get my nose swabbed, but my nose is so dry because it's Phoenix, so it's like it's up in your nose for 10 seconds, and then they twist it, and then I had to drive home, and it was just like bleeding, and I was like, this sucks. And then it hurt like almost all of yesterday. I feel like a giant baby, but it was not pleasant. It's just so dry here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first part. So it sucked too because on the way there and stuff, I was passing like Dutch Bros and stuff, which I don't have any by my house. I'm like, motherfucker, I want a fucking Dutch Bros, and there's like this gluten-free donut place down there, but I can't. Like in the rules, you can't, because then like even if you caught something at Dutch Bros, it wouldn't be in the test you just took. So like it's full quarantine. So now I'm just have to wait at home until Wednesday. So not much prep now. So starting 3 weeks ago, I had to stop taking all supplements. Like I take like a vitamin C and ginger and stuff like that. They don't want you to take any supplements for 3 weeks before. No ibuprofen or any of those weird, like no aspirin, anything like that for the last 3 weeks, which I don't really take anyways. And then I haven't been able to take testosterone since July 25th, and that really sucks because I feel like the estrogen just in my head, and it's
creeping it.
Fucking terrible. But so that was a long time ago, and that's a rule. Different surgeons have different rules, but mainly the hormone thing is for a less risk of blood clots. So I appreciate that. That's nice that they.
Do you actually feel it, or do you think it's like a placebo kind of thing, or can you actually like explain what you're feeling?
Mentally, I feel it for sure. The first week after, like when you have low T levels, you get tired. Like it's really hard to even explain. Like even with coffee and stuff, you're just really fucking tired. And now it's been so long that I notice I'm more emotional again and like not thinking as straight, which sucks because I have really bad anxiety. And then my anxiety about surgery is getting worse because my brain isn't working like it does when I have testosterone. So it's more panicky than like straight, well thought out thoughts, I guess.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So
wow.
I can't wait to take that again. I think I can like the day after or something. It's just they don't want you to get more blood clot or a chance of a blood clot when you're like in surgery. So
yeah, and you pretty much already made it. I mean, let's see, it's a couple days, and like that, I think that's pretty amazing. And your voice has not changed at all. It's nice and deep, so don't worry about that.
I have so much dysphoria, and I noticed like it's a fast. Like it's only been 3 weeks, but I've noticed like there's more fat around my hips again, and like little weird things like that. And it's just like, oh my god.
Just imagine that you're just gaining weight. You're just gaining some weight.
I just like I noticed some of the fat moving already, and it's like fuck.
Yeah, that's quick.
But yeah, that was pretty much all the upfront prep for like the couple weeks before, and then the COVID test yesterday, and then tomorrow I'm gonna try and go to bed early. My pre-op appointment is at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, so I have to wake up that morning and I have to wash with like Hibby Cleanse or whatever it's called, like my whole body, and it's like a soap that kills bacteria for 24 hours. So I have to wake up and wash my whole body with that, and then my
this is wild.
Yeah, right. And then my pre-op is at 8:30, and I go in and they're gonna like write the little lines and stuff on my chest. and then give me my prescription for the antibiotics and the painkillers. And then after the pre-op, I have to go pick up the antibiotics and painkillers, and then I have to be at the surgery center in Scottsdale at 11:45 a.m. and then my surgery is at 1:45 p.m.
Wow, right in the middle of the day.
Yeah, and it sucks because you can't eat for 10 hours before, so it's like, what am I gonna do to kill time? Normally, I kill time and like eat.
That's funny because my life has been over the last couple of weeks, or not weeks, months, has been fasting. I fast a lot, so like I'll take like 24 hours before I eat like one thing.
What the fuck? Oh my god!
Well, only sometimes. I mean, like 5. Well, it won't be 24. It's usually like 16 hours. Yeah, like Monday through Fridays, I do that a lot, and then a lot of working out. I just been dieting, and then I'll do keto too. But anyway.
Yeah, I just like to eat like every hour, so
hot sauce.
It's gonna be hard to like kill time without there. Like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do because like the pre-op is in Scottsdale and then the surgery is in South Scottsdale, so it's too far for me to drive home in between. But like during COVID, I don't know what I'm gonna do besides sit in the car. I can't like go chill at a coffee shop and kill time or anything. So that'll be weird. But then so then my surgery is 3.5 hours.
Oh, damn, that's not long at all.
Yeah, luckily. And then I guess once I wake up, they let you go after you can eat and drink and something. And then Kaylin has to pick me up like literally at the door. I can't have any guests inside at all. So they kind of like roll me out when he gets there, I guess. And then
he'd be all drugged up rolling out.
Yeah, right. And then the next day, I have to go back at 3 p.m., and they take off the gauze and shit, and then they put me in a compression binder, and then I have to wear that binder for a month.
Shit.
But a week later, I have to get the drains taken out because I have drains, so I have the drains for a week, and then those will get taken out. So it's technically like you go home, there's gauze, you go back the next day, they put on the binder, and then 6 days later they take the drains out, and then you have the binder for another 3 weeks is basically the thing.
Wow, that's exciting. I mean, it's going to be cool, I think. It sounds so Frankensteinish, which is kind of awesome and fascinating, but what I'm really thinking mostly is like how awesome that's going to be.
Yeah, I can't wait to just wake up from surgery. Like, I'm fine with the healing and stuff. I'm just like fucking nervous. So
yeah, I mean, anybody would be.
Yeah, exactly.
I am.
I know. I want to get there and be like, please give me some benzos, like right now.
Fuck. You'll be cool. And that's funny because it probably is just like some of you're just mind getting away from you. But I think anybody in your position is going to be. I mean, I'd be way worse than you are. I think you're handling it well.
Oh, thanks. It's gotten easier as the day's gone on. I was like at the beginning when I first scheduled it, I was frantic beyond. Like, we couldn't be talking about it right now. That's how frantic it was. I didn't tell anybody I scheduled it for like a week and a half because I couldn't handle it. So I'm a lot better now, and I'm just so excited for it to get over with and like not have to deal with it ever again, and like get my nipples re-pierced and get a chest tattoo. And
oh shit! What do you have it planned already?
Yeah, I want to get my cat's face on my chest, like really big.
Of course.
Yeah, because she's a Sphinx, if anyone doesn't know. Princess Phoebe on Instagram. But yeah, I want her like face like really big on my chest. I think that'd be cool.
That's epic. That's awesome. And again, what leads me to think mostly about is just the practicality of you being able to do what you love in drumming without having to have that be on your mind.
Yes, and then when we go on tour, I can actually buy T-shirts that I like.
Was that hard to find T-shirts? Or is that to try to like keep everything like binded and all that?
Yeah, well, it's hard to find T-shirts because of how often I can't bind because of drumming and stuff. So,
yeah.
Like right now, we just had band practice, and then we're gonna have band practice after this podcast. But I'm wearing like a shirt with like a giant print on it because I'm not binded. I'm just in a sports bra, so it's like. There has to be like huge print or like a giant graphic for it to like be okay with a sports bra. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, and I can never really wear white because no matter what, like with white, you can just tell there's like a binder under there. Even if the binder, like I have a skin tone one, you can just tell. Yeah. So and tank tops. Like I am so stoked to wear a fucking tank top. Like
yeah, fuck. That's awesome.
So it's really exciting, and that's kind of why I'm not as nervous now. And I'm like, I think another reason I can't really be nervous is because I literally paid cash for this, and if you cancel, they don't give you any money back because you signed the thing. So I'm like, well, I literally have to. People gave me money. Like, I can't be like, oh, I gave it to the surgery center and that's it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, and I think it's a relief though too that like you're able to get that paid for and be able to, even if you're going to pay back on it with the credit card, like it's just awesome to be able to, because that's a daunting, like a large part of it is the financial part, and you tackled that like pretty easily, and that makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and I was looking up because I have like state insurance, and I was looking up if that was possible, and it kind of is, but it's like a 2-year waiting list, and the place that does it I wouldn't trust. So I was like, I need to go like to someone, like this surgeon travels to Portland to do the same surgery, and people travel here to see her and stuff, and it's like very reputable, so I don't want to just like go with the state insurance.
I mean, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because I don't remember, I don't have it in front of me right now, but last week I didn't get a chance to bring it up, but there was some instance or some case in AZ about the government or AZ not wanting to fund like gender affirming surgeries.
Oh,
have you heard anything like that?
Yeah, I'm sure there's only one surgeon that even does it.
Yeah,
like under Medicare or whatever, but like the waiting list is long. There's a ton of extra rules, like you need to be on hormones and all this weird stuff. And it just seemed like a kind of like a sketch place where they don't really have an anesthesiologist. They have like a nurse, and it just like was like, oh, this doesn't look fun.
Yeah. And that's just an example also though of like what we're talking about. This is a real life experience you've had of just like the kind of the passe and like kind of like thrown under the rug kind of like care there is for trans people, like, and then we have to trust that the people that are working with us are you know, have our best interests. Like that's kind of daunting.
Yeah, there's been some surgeries, some top surgeries specifically I've seen in like Arkansas and some other places in the South where the surgeon like just mutilated their body and like kept their like chest there, but just put a bunch of cuts in it, and it just looks like trash. I'll see if I can find the pictures. It's a nightmare. It's like they cut like 6 incisions and like grabbed a couple things and then put it back, and it's still like a tit, and it's just like the most terrifying thing.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
that doesn't even, saying it's horrible doesn't even do it justice. Like that, but you know what? I think as bad as that's been, hopefully, I mean, fuck, I don't know. Like there's going to be instances of good shit happening and bad shit happening, but it also reminds me of the good, like recently there's been, because again, more stuff that I was reading to get content for this podcast, but have you been keeping up with any of the stuff going on like in the legislation and like the Trump, you know, Trump imposed, what was the thing that Trump imposed? It was like a stupid ass thing with his administration trying to roll back the transgender healthcare stuff. Yeah,
with that, he's basically trying to make it legal for any healthcare, like specific, like separately, like Blue Cross, whatever, they can decide if they don't want to cover transgender care. So it used to be like discrimination, but he's trying to make it be like, oh, they can pick.
Yeah, which is just ridiculous. It's one of the many things that's just absurd. And I mentioned it because they just like an hour or two ago, I guess a judge blocked the that administration on doing that, on their effort to roll back the transgender healthcare thing. Which is great. I mean, that means like it's common sense, but I mean,
it is, especially because you're diagnosed with gender dysphoria and it's like a treatment. It's not like this fun. It's not like this fun cosmetic journey, you know. At least for me,
no,
like,
not at all.
Like, oh, I can't wait to have like my designer chest. It's like, no, I literally need this because I want to die.
Yeah. We're so morbid. I laugh at that, but it's and if you want a designer chest, you know, I feel like you should probably pay for that, but like I'm down for that too.
Yeah, I get it, but yeah, it should, like, there should be, if you're like diagnosed with gender dysphoria, I have letters upon letter. I have a letter from a nurse practitioner. I have a letter from an MD. I have a letter from a gender specialist and a normal therapist. So I have 4 letters because everyone needs a different letter. Even one isn't enough. You just need to keep paying people. One letter from the MD was $350. But anyways, yeah, so it should be covered if you're getting all this proof. Like, what do my 4 letters do? Like, I still have to pay. So
yeah, and that's been, you know, a large part of holdups on even my end. Like, I've been dealing with we're trying to like close on a house out here in Minneapolis and this business that we're running. So there's all these things that cost a lot of money, and then at the same time, they're all things where I have to like confront a bunch of like gender-based bullshit.
yeah.
It sucks, but I can't, you know, I don't have the money or right now to like, I have to take care of some things first before I'm able to do that. It just puts you in a fucked up situation.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, people that are doing the name change right now, if anyone knows what they're doing, because I had to go like into the courthouse to do it and like go in front of a judge, and there was like 40 other cases in the room, and it just went case by case, and you just waited for your name to be called. But like, now are they doing that on Zoom? Because they can't just completely stop. That must be on Zoom, right? Or like a
well, I don't know. I think at least the courthouse that I have to go to is just opened up like a month ago again. Oh. But they're so backed up, you know, like it's and hey, I have to go down there and then like pay the fee and then like take the paperwork and all that shit. So I haven't done that yet, but I'll let you know. And if anybody listening does know, that'd be something that be awesome to share on the podcast for people.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how much yours costs compared to mine here in Arizona.
$297.
Oh, nice. That's weird. Ours here to go in to make the like appointment to have a court appearance was $333.
Oh,
which is just like, why did they pick that number? And then the day of, then the day of it was another like $26.
Whoa! See, I don't know about another charge. I've looked into it, but I'll let you know if there is another. Why the fuck was that? What? Why would they charge more? Why would they just charge it at once?
You're paying for the stamp, I guess. I don't know, because if the judge did not approve, then you wouldn't have to pay the extra $26, I guess. So it's kind of like, oh, he stamped it.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and if you want a copy, it's another $26, like per copy of the same paper.
That is ridiculous, and that's. They make it so difficult. And what's cool though is and weird at the same time is how different all these rules are in different states. Like things are totally different for you than they are for me. Just because where we live. Yeah,
exactly. And then I had to deal with Minnesota because my birth certificate was there, and that was probably the most pleasant part. And that was cheaper than. To change my birth certificate, that was cheaper than like everything else. It was only like 115 or something.
Yeah, that makes sense because a lot like I'm pretty spoiled in Minnesota. I think it's a great place for trans people.
Yeah, it was super easy even from here to deal with them too, like through email, and they were so friendly and got right back to me, and then they mailed back all my stuff super safely because the mail is safe.
Yeah,
the mail
you're lucky though too, like because you know with all the mail delays and shit going on right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, it was such a pleasant experience that I can't imagine like being born in Arkansas or Michigan or something.
Well, and that reminds me because I know you'd mentioned we had talked about Texas, and Texas actually surprisingly doesn't require surgery.
That's wild. Yeah, I remember you messaged me about that. What do they require? Just like a doctor's note, or?
Yeah, the typical doctor's note, and a lot of like there are now apps and doctors and therapists that will be able to do that, or at least recently been able to do that online. So that makes it easier because there's like doctors now and stuff that are on trans people's side, and they're like, this is ridiculous. We don't need. Because some people can't do hormones. Some people can't have surgery. They should still be able to have a note from a doctor to change their names on a fucking passport.
Yeah, seriously. Especially even if they're not on hormones and stuff, especially if they're presenting a certain way, it's like just safer for everybody to have it match.
Yeah, totally. And it just makes sense. And that reminds me again, we talk and this is great because then I remember the other thing I wanted to talk about was speaking of the good things, because we're on a roll with some of the stuff going on, but I guess Idaho can't implement the transgender sports ban that they try to pass through too. So there's another stoppage and win. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's good.
And they cite, I think, what helped them was citing, the rules of the NCAA, which allows trans women to participate in sports, and they're just, I think a lot of, it's so funny. I understand having the conversation about trans people in sports, but the problem is that it's always used as a vehicle to dehumanize or to invalidate the experiences of trans people, and it immediately becomes misgendering and bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. And if they knew any like basic science, they would know, especially if a trans woman is on hormones, they're not going to be stronger and faster and better than a cisgender woman because they literally have the same hormones going through them, which makes them weaker.
Yep, well, it's true, I've heard, I've had so many debates. They're not really debates, but so many talking with the cis people about it. But I mean, because the next thing they're like, well, your body structure is different, which is, I guess, your skeletal structure. All that's true, but none of it's been proven to be, again, at an advantage that's so ridiculous. Like, there's so many people that are involved in trans sports, trans women specifically, because that's the one everyone looks at is like trans women. and you know, they don't talk about all the times they lose or and all this shit. It's only about when the one trans woman wins something that it's a big deal. Yeah,
it's the one time. And I'm sure there's like trans men that are stealth on men's teams and no one even fucking knows.
Oh, probably, yeah, for sure. And then it's so, again, I'm down to have like the debates or the talks about it, but like they have, the thing is that we can't trust cis people to be responsible or respectful of like the fact that they should be addressing these people as women that may have an advantage because they have a certain level of hormones, but they have to just phrase things differently.
Yeah.
That's my problem with most of it.
No, I totally agree. It's very invalidating, and it just basically it gives them like an outlet to be a bully.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
They take it too so quick. They're just all over it. Next thing you know, it's like a dude in women's sports, and it becomes like, oh, fucking. Actually, that's funny too, because that's the right below that article about the Idaho thing was let's see, where the fuck did it go? It was a funny. Oh, it says, see, this is the other shit that cis people do. It says, where the fuck is it? I just had it. It was something about a Girl Scout. I'm trying to read more about it. God damn it. Now I lost it. It was so good too. God damn it.
No, find it.
I want to find it because it's one of those. I think if I can't find it, I can kind of remember what it said. It said something to the gist of, where the fuck is it? God damn it. It says something to the gist of like, male transgender wins Girl Scout award.
What?
Try to put that together. But it's like, you know, there's like those random sites that consider themselves news sites.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're in Europe, which is weird. Like the UK is huge, like notorious for this, like Breitbart News and like CBC, like not CBC, but one of those like one of those fucking things. And yeah, so like you see that language a lot where they don't even know how to talk about trans people, don't know what trans people's words are, then they use it as a vehicle to just spout some hateful shit.
Oh, that's so fucking annoying.
It is. Are you connected at all with like the local like press and stuff have you ever noticed any like trans rhetoric in AZ specifically, like what the general, I know obviously we know what AZ is about, but is there like a consensus or like a vibe on trans people in AZ?
It's weird because like a lot of the actual like local news and stuff I read is from like New Times and the more like
progressive shit.
Yeah. The more progressive stuff, the news is just as trash as everywhere else. Like the fucking, like the normal news or like the paper, it's the same like misgendering bullshit. But as far as like the local, like the, like, yeah, like New Times or what's the other one? Is there like Yabyum and the weird music ones, but they're getting into more than just music. It's like music and art now. They're all very hip as far as that stuff goes. And in this quarantine / like civil rights movement, I can 100% say like the Tempe music scene has fucking passed the vibe check. Like there's been no one, I've deleted a ton of people on my Facebook, but none of them have been from like the Tempe music scene. There's been a few from like Mesa and like the metal bullshit scene that like I don't even know why they were on my friends list, but like the Tempe like DIY Phoenix scene has like really past all the race stuff going on and the transgender stuff and everything with Pride Month and it like the mask wearing, and it's been really good here as far as like the art scene goes.
Well, that's good. I mean, Tempe's always kind of been like that. I mean, Tempe was insanely progressive, way more so even back in the 90s when my brother was coming up out there.
Yes, Tempe itself is going backwards now. Like the Tempe scene as far as like just normal living, like I see all my friends posting all the time, they're bitching no one's wearing masks and no one like being respectful. Like Mill Avenue is packed as fuck and it's just like a giant mess. But as far as like the art scene go, it's really, really good. But I think it's getting more red in the normal non-artistic side, which is really fucking gross because it's like a party college town and it shouldn't be going that way.
It totally is a party college, but that's been, yeah, it's just finally taken over all the way. I think they've gotten rid of enough of the artsy fucks like us that they could take over now. They could have Mill Avenue. It's not anything near as cool as it used to be.
Oh, I know, it's fucking gross. And every time, like here, it's been like shut down, open up, shut down. But our governor won't shut down the restaurant part or any restaurant with a bar because he owns a ton of them in Tempe. So he's not gonna shut down restaurants in the state when he owns restaurants because he's a piece of shit. So it's like Mill Avenue's packed, and then there's like kind of rules, but then it's just like packed again, like packed like like you wouldn't know there's a pandemic, like a normal night. Like you've been down there, it looks like that. Yeah.
That's wild. That it looks like I saw some clips from Vegas that had the same thing kind of going on. Like it was like everyone's out there again, just kind of hanging out all on top of each other.
In Sturgis, I can't even.
Would Snell Made have played Sturgis?
We've driven through there during Sturgis a few times, and
here we go.
Me as a high schooler, I've been to Sturgis a few times with my family actually. So
that says it all.
I think we might get killed, but like I might be down to like try. I don't know. I love the Midwest. I have a weird connection, even though there's a bunch of shitty people as well.
There is, but that's anywhere. Like we just talked about as AZ.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like if it wasn't like a pandemic, I think we'd probably try playing Sturgis and then get booed off.
You have to bring all your butt rock songs.
Right, I know.
It'd be perfect. But I think you should definitely look into, like you mentioned, but doing this in Minnesota would have been awesome. I don't know. I wonder, have you looked into surgeons in Minnesota? Maybe they suck. I don't know. There's great hospitals here.
Yeah, I did a little bit of looking. Mainly, I wanted to be able to get it here and heal here because I have the house to myself right now.
Well, yeah. Plus, you're 2 days away, so
yeah,
it's done.
Yeah, so it would be nice. But I did look. There's definitely really good options up there. As long as you don't live in like Idaho or Arkansas or Georgia. Like a lot of people from Georgia drive to Florida because it's a lot better.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Actually, pretty much everyone I've seen on YouTube that like gets top surgery ends up driving to Florida from Alabama or anything like that. Like any of the states where you think it wouldn't be okay, like it's not okay. What it is. Yeah. But yeah, luckily I live right next to Scottsdale, and Scottsdale is all about plastic surgery and shit. So
you know what? That's a fucking good point.
Yeah, and this is they only do gender reassignment surgeries, and there's 2 of them. They've been doing it the dude has been doing it for like 30 years or something, and he trained the girl, and she's been doing it for 15, and that's who I'm going with because she's trans, and if I'm spending cash money, I want my cash money to go to a trans person. So
that's awesome. And so they take things out and they put things in.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. We should have set our tables up together. Could have just swapped them over to me.
I know. That's why I'm like, why can't they do that? Just like, because my friend, she just got her like cooch made last week, and then she got implants at the same time, which is like, oof. Damn, 2 surgeries in one day. Like, that's wild. But I'm like, yeah, why could we just gone in and like switcherooed?
Done.
One day they'll be able to.
That'd be awesome and morbid and kind of weird.
Yeah, like I know what your dick looks like because it used to be mine.
And with that, right there, I felt like it was a great place to stop for this week, and there's a lot more from this conversation. It gets better because, as Bentley said so crudely about this penis thing, we get all into it on the next part, and we get to learn all about how you can make a penis from your arm. From the skin of your forearm, you can build a penis, and that's not the best thing. If you really want to know a reason to come back next week for the podcast, without looking it up, if you wait until next week, you'll get the answer here. But what do you think, or how do you think, a trans man that decides to get a penis operation, I forget the technical term, what do you think they would do under a certain operation to get themselves hard? Think long and hard. You got a week. And we'll see you next week on the podcast. Good luck to Bentley. Bentley's going to come back when he comes back on this podcast next. A completely changed dude. Just so free. And that's fucking amazing. So we'll see you next week here on Transdemic.